Hey everybody, it's Chad Warren here. Hope you're doing great. The date's Tuesday, April 14th, almost 4 p.m. Central Time. On the screen behind me is a Facebook profile of a friend of mine, Reed Means. I met him when I briefly worked at Vue Carré, New Orleans style restaurant connected to the Afterthought Jazz Lounge in Hillcrest neighborhood of Little Rock. Reed's a great guy. He later was kind enough to invite me to be an assistant producer, assistant director on his film Wrenchocracy, which was a parody, an alt-right parody about the ridiculous police state that we are now in. I hope all my conspiracy occult research partners out in internet land and here in the real world feel vindicated that we were right. And I hope that the pro-Trump pull their head out of Trump's rump long enough to notice that he's more socialist than Bernie Sanders ever could be, which is why we don't need Bernie Sanders. But check out Reed Means there on Facebook. And I'm gonna do a review of his blog post. His website, evidently, as you see here, is yourfavoritecircle.wixsite.com. And this one is blog post, COVID communism is here and we're in trouble. So I think the important thing here is that we value what we do as individuals and cooperatively. So on the one hand, you could look at this like, oh, it's just a blog post, who cares? But I think that the way forward in alt media is to strengthen the bonds one-to-one. Right now you're watching this and I'm creating this, and we need to give shout outs to the video content creators, especially when they are demonstrating real world situations, whether it's been I haven't actually shown the people on video yet. I've been trying to respect other people's privacy, but I've definitely, when I walk now, I say something like, hey, I just want to let you know I think that this virus could be being used as an excuse by the richest 1% to put us all into a police state. Do you have any concerns about that? And while that's very intense, I've never had a negative reaction to it. And even people, at the worst, they say, I don't know, I'm not really worried. So I would encourage you, even if you're not on video, to value the impact that makes into somebody else's daily life. That they know that there's somebody out there, and then look clean cut, enough to where you don't look like a bum or a crazy person, and just be calm. And you know what I mean? That there's somebody that's respectable that is asking that question. Because just as easily as we can be influenced, by an advertisement to get 2 sandwiches for $6 at Burger King, we can be influenced to stand with other humans, other Christians, etc., against this police state takeover. So, COVID communism is here and we are in trouble. I've been sitting on a few drafts for other posts, but at the time of writing this, the current cultural landscape is more interesting. Welcome to communism. What do we see? We see seeds and we see a sign, attention customers, by order from the state of Vermont, items in this non-essential area are not available for purchase. But they can, I'm assuming, order them online. So the last time I checked, when the government takes over business or business takes over government, that's fascism or corporatocracy, whatever you want to call it. But it's the end of the U.S. Constitution when we don't have the ability to assemble, if we don't have the ability to question what we're told, And when you do, if people call you a conspiracy theorist, then they don't have a respect for critical thinking, which demands a healthy debate between different points of view. So, Neil deGrasse Tyson said this virus is a test to see if people are going to listen to scientists. Well, I think we should listen to scientists, and we should not listen to actors posing as scientists who are actually paid off by the richest 1% to be like Bill Gates and pretend to be a doctor and tell us what public health is when he's for reducing the human population for the good of global warming. And I'm thankful to Governor Asa Hutchinson here in Arkansas and my fellow Arkansans for demonstrating that we are healthier than a lot of places, even though we're not locked down in living in fear. And it's not appropriate for people to be political. You couldn't have less respect for Trump than I do. I have little respect for people that believe that their vote makes a difference. If you need a professional to tell you what's true or not, well, then listen to a study from Harvard that shows that a piece of legislation has at best a 30% chance of becoming law. Okay? That's because of the power of money. Specifically, who's the number one lobby in Congress? Israel. So I'm tired of being pushed around by weak, ignorant people who don't want to think. They don't want to be personally responsible. They look at you like you have three eyes. If you ask them what they think about it, they could say, I don't know. They're afraid to even say anything, even that. Reed goes on, while we are currently being bombarded by weaponized media, ideologies, memes, and even a virus, the casual descent into tyranny has snowballed into a freefall. Where is your line in the sand? See, that's my question. I'm asking people, if they're not concerned, is there anything that they could imagine that could happen to where they would not go along with what the corporate government and their media tell them to do? Because if there's nothing, if they'll always go along with them, then they're no longer human, because you have to make choices to be human. Troubling thing number one, communism. The democratic socialists have gone full tilt into communist idiocy. Many of these people are my friends and relatives. Their social media presence has devolved from funny pictures and positive aspects of their life to communist propaganda from obviously controlled meme pages. Most underestimate the power of the meme. A meme as we know it is slightly different from its definition, the smallest unit of an idea. But these small units of ideas are seeds. Some are thought-provoking, while others are corrupt and grow into vines that entangle the mind. The latter has certainly taken over in recent months, and it doesn't help that we are under medical house arrest and online for hours every day. Troubling thing number two, COVID-19. With the introduction of this pandemic into society, people on all sides are scared and confused by severe misinformation. With this in place, a majority of people are willingly going along with whatever the authorities tell them. You don't need me to tell you this is a particularly dangerous situation. Even the left, who are all hashtag never Trumpers, are waiting anxiously by their savior, the TV, to hear what the Trump administration and his people have to say, and certainly to get that check. At this point, if the TV told people to kill themselves to prevent the spread, over half would do it. Lunacy all around. I bet it would be impressive how many people would. That's crazy that something as silly as that is worth considering. Troubling thing number three, stimulus. This is where we, as a society, had a chance to be a shining example of intelligence and freedom, but we messed that up too. A $2 trillion, as of now, bill of irreversible damage to the economy is the best anyone could come up with. Is an economic stimulus ever an appropriate answer? Sure it is, but not when the last three presidents have done so under non-emergency circumstances. We are in an emergency. A manufactured one, yes, but still an emergency. I do not have the correct answer, but a $2 trillion bill where only $750 billion are going to the people is definitely not the answer. A better alternative would have been refunding everyone's taxes for the last 3 years and maybe refund the Obamacare fines as well. The list could go on and on about the troubling things in 2020 so far, but I am the most concerned about the communist shadow that is clouding a frightening number of people's minds. A good piece of news, however, is that while the country was panic buying toilet paper and hand sanitizer, some folks had the sense left in them to buy a gun. 2.5 million guns, actually. The month of March 2020 was the busiest month for gun stores in recorded history. Many of these guns were to first-time buyers. To my amazement, ammo was only temporarily on back order, as ammo manufacturers seemed to be much more prepared than they were during the Obama-era ammo run. Remember the Department of DHS, isn't that Department of Human Services? Buying $2 million worth of no hesitation targets in 2013, good times. Point is, some people are thinking about preparedness, and that gives me a small thread of hope. On preparedness, I recommend a few things: food, water storage, ammo storage, defensive strategies, and most importantly, finding your people. Find the people that you can trust and depend on in an emergency. Get with them, either online or in person, and have a plan. A favorite quote of mine from Terence McKenna: if you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. And that quote is the absolute truth. It may also be of interest that land is already fairly affordable to buy, and I have a feeling it will get cheaper as the year progresses. So this brings the question: where is your line in the sand? When will people resist tyranny? Perhaps we have gone too far off the edge into the abyss, but I like to hold on to the few threads of hope I have, that we are strong when we are all on the same page of liberty, and that we will band together to resist when the time is right. And I responded, I have to click here, I guess. Let's see. Yes, communism has taken over. However, communism comes as a direct result of capitalism. Although I agree that this virus hysteria is an important landmark of the disintegration of the American experience, it's nothing new. Believing that the American Revolution truly set us free from the monarchy of England is the same as believing that President Trump is a legitimate threat to the richest 1%, who are the same masterclass today. Economics professor Anthony Sutton wrote a book entitled The Best Enemies Money Can Buy, which describes how Wall Street financed the Bolshevik Revolution. The Freemasonic, Babylonian, Luciferian Satanists run everything. I know you know my position on this, but I am stating this for guests to this post. The picture of seeds being labeled as non-essential and off-limits to customers is disturbing because it reflects the fact that to the 1% of us, the rest of us are non-essential. I thought it was nice that my father and stepmother called me and let me know that they saw my post and while they disagreed, that they love me. Of course, my stepmom also asked if I own a gun when I commented that I heard the officials were releasing prisoners because of the virus, which could either be because she cares, remind me to defend myself, or because she wanted to see if I owned a gun and was a threat. Who knows? And it's an uncomfortable question to ask. I love my folks. I'm just saying that I do think that we're in that time period where we have to question, are my parents or my friends and whatever going to turn rat on me? Because that is happening from what I hear. I was out by myself in a park and they said we couldn't leave our house, and the cop said it's a $8,000 fine if you do it again. Just like how both the Democratic and Republican parties are controlled opposition, so too the 1% wins whether we obey or rebel. I mean, look, I have to apply this pressure to you, and I want to also learn how to offer carrots that are positive about what we can do instead of what you better do. But for now, I feel that because other people have given up their responsibility to know what's going on and to do something about it, and they're fine with China taking over the ports at Long Beach. They're fine with China taking over Hollywood. They're fine with China taking over the NBA. They're fine with your neighbors ratting on you about this virus and how that makes us exactly like China. China is developed by the Rockefellers, and it is a perfect example of the technological police state that we're all being put into. And unfortunately, the United States is a bully militarily that is a whore for the whore of Babylon, Zionist Israeli government, and all the fake Christians and all the fake humanists, New Age pieces of crap that go along with this stuff. So we don't really have a leg to stand on in terms of saying America is about freedom and human rights. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Y'all people are just going to ignore this until you live in that Chinese police state. So I'm not going to let you bully me with your fear, your ignorance, and your inaction. However, I know that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction defined by the only true law, which is that of nature itself. I think the only difference between the Luciferian and Christian path is a personal decision about what the source of authority is. I choose to interpret the Bible to say that Christ is within, and that to meditate is to be with him, and therefore I have a responsibility to take a leadership position because other people defer. Because we are independent representatives of the God of nature, there is a right and wrong, but that's for us to decide. There could be no heroes if there were no cowards and predators and pharaohs. I'm thankful for this planned epidemic just as much as it pisses me off to see the Nazi Gestapo up at the Walmart telling me, "You go in this door." However, that evil was always there, and it's only because of the apocalypse that we can see it more clearly. Sam Walton, what was his job in World War II? He ran the internment camps that forced Japanese Americans to live there. And now he runs Walmart, which is forcing you into these lines for the COVID-19. What we considered normal was completely unacceptable to an honest man or woman. I look forward to us coordinating and being as dedicated to bringing our view of heaven on earth as the elites are. And that's my basic argument, is that yes, I'm upset that Bill Gates and the Rockefellers don't want competition. They consider us weeds to be eradicated. I can understand somebody saying, if they had the power to just eliminate 90% of people and say, wouldn't that be a nicer way to live? But I don't understand myself and others that we just kiss their asses and just make it so easy for them. We are the ones that are evil because it's our decision that make this possible or not possible. And I'm saying that a lot of it is having to admit you still are capable of doing the right thing even if you feel weak. I feel weak I decided I wanted some fast food today, so I went to Burger King. So, I feel weak about that choice. I don't even have business spending $7-8 when I've got $100 until my next paycheck and I've got bills to pay that I'm behind on. So that's my church that I want to be in, where we admit these things to each other. So next I'm going to do a video where I do some research into what the Bible says that Christians should do in response to something like this. My heart is that they shouldn't accept it. Where is their line in the sand? Also, I would like your help because ultimately my goal is to develop a mutual aid society so that in the past, before Social Security and insurance took over, you could join one of these Oddfellows type of groups. And a lot of people did it for practical reasons, like, hey, if I pay $20 a month, we can all pay for a doctor's salary for a year, and they will come and do house calls. And those were doctors that were not doing Rockefeller medicine that's based on prescribing toxic drugs and making money off of your sickness, but by preventing you from getting sick by using nutrition, such as hydrochloroquine and zinc, which is proven by Dr. Coraldo out there in LA, is featured on an affiliate ABC channel to heal people from this crown virus in less than 24 hours. So all hands on deck. You want to talk about science? Let's talk about the science of defiance and how we're going to start applying pressure. So these people are not just afraid of the virus, but they are afraid that we're going to make their heart hurt and their mind hurt by making them conscious of what they're trying to ignore, and that we're not going to let them bully us. We're going to win because they're acting cowardly. So should we organize like a Zoom call to have a group video discussion? What's an action that you think that we should take to strengthen our community? What is, please share any links to information sources that you think are new. And you can find me at chad.warren1, or I think, is it Chad Warren 1 on Facebook. And there you go. Thank you very much. Sending love to you. Good day.